Hi everyone, welcome to another video. So today is going to be not a makeup look, but I'm going to be talking about makeup that I have been buying and trying pretty much since the beginning of this year and kind of towards the end of last year. I don't do these often, and I most certainly don't do these every month because I literally could never buy that much makeup. Like, even if I could buy that much, I would be like so overwhelmed. I like being able to just use things I like for pretty long periods of time. Now last year, I believe I just did like my mid-year favorites and my end-of-year favorites, but this year I'm going to talk about pretty much everything that I've tried that is worth talking about. If there's something that you could have sworn I used in an earlier video but never mentioned ever again in this video, I probably don't even have it anymore and you can just kind of ignore it. Let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go in order of how I apply things. So first off, I'm going to talk about my primers. So the first primer that I want to talk about is not actually a primer, but it is going to be the REPHR Moisturizer Prototype. I don't know if this is still available, but if it is, you can pay what you want, which is really great. I have been really liking this under my makeup. It is really light, perfect for summer, a little bit too little for winter, but it's just so good for me to use under my makeup during the summer or just as a quick little pick-me-up throughout the day. It's watery. It reminds me of like a thicker version of my Holy Grail Dominique Cosmetics primer that I love so much. I just love it. It also has no fragrance. It is a giant tube, and yeah, I just really like it. Super accessible and easy, and I can recommend it for anybody who just wants a light moisturizer underneath their makeup. And then I'm not gonna talk about sunscreens in this video. I'm gonna make like a dedicated my favorite sunscreens video later once I've like run through everything that I'm currently trying. But moving on, I'm going to talk about the Victoria Beckham Cell Rejuvenating Primer. I got this on Black Friday last year when Victoria Beckham had a 20% off sale, and I gotta say, I really wish I had bought literally anything else off of her website. So I think if she has another sale this year, I'm going to just go ahead and buy what I want. This was a disappointment for me. I really don't see any difference in my skin. I don't really feel like it smooths my skin that well. It feels intensely hydrating, so I do like it during the winter for that. But for the money that I pay for this, even 20% off, I would have expected it to do a lot more. So this is going to be an I don't recommend from me. I don't think it really does anything. I am going to use it and finish it just because I have it, and I have it and I spent money on it, but yeah. I'm disappointed. And then something that I wasn't disappointed by and that actually super surprised me, and now I'm kind of sad because it's not going to be available anymore, the Bite Changemaker Primer for dry skin. If you guys still have this available somewhere, please definitely go get your hands on this. It's like so cheap now and it's really, really good, and I high-key am sad I didn't try this sooner, but at the same time I have other primers that I do like, so you know, I have this, I'll use this for a while. I'm probably gonna have plenty of other options by the time this were to run out if I ever ran through it. But yeah, this is really good, and now that it's so affordable because Bite is closing, you should probably go get your hands on it just because it is actually really good. Like, it's actually really good. If there's any primers that you see me use pretty often, like the Dominique one that I keep talking about, I'm not gonna be mentioning it in this video. I'm talking specifically about things that have been tried somewhat recently, just FYI. Now I'm gonna move on to foundations. There's only 2 foundations I picked up super recently. Yeah, pretty much all my other foundations have been in my collection for a while now, and so there's only 2 I picked up in the recent past. I definitely wish I could get more, but honestly it's kind of a waste to have that many foundations laying around. But the 2 that I did get are both from Givenchy, and they're both the same line. It's just that one is matte and one is glow. So the Givenchy Skin Caring foundation line, and I love these both. These are so good. The only thing is they are fragranced, but they don't smell as heavy as the Bobbi Brown face base, and as long as it's not as bad as that, I can totally tolerate it, no problem. So the Skin Caring Glow one is going to be something that you'll see me use a lot more during the winter. It is such a creamy, smooth, silky feeling lotion is what it feels like, but it has really good coverage. Love this. It is just a little bit much for the summer. And then this is kind of my recent go-to matte foundation. I love this so much. You've heard me say before about how I totally got the wrong color and then I never exchanged it because I just hate wasting makeup like that, so I'm stuck with not my shade, which is why I am looking to mix it with things without changing the formula too much. But this is so good, so if y'all don't mind me constantly looking like a ghost whenever I use this, I will be using this very well this summer, and I already have been using it a lot. I like these both. These both are really good, solid releases from Givenchy. Totally surprised me, and I'm really glad that I got them. Plus, the packaging is definitely super sleek and smooth, very pretty. And then next I'm going to talk about some under eye stuff, so concealer, color corrector, the whole shebang. Quite a bunch because I am just constantly looking for the next best thing to make my under eye circles disappear and for my eyelids and under eyes to be hydrated to the gods. I'm just always on the hunt for the next best thing. Oh, and before I go into that, I do want to briefly mention these two foundations, the Hourglass Stick and the KVD Balm. I like this one better. This one is nice, but I like this one better. However, this one has better coverage, but I like this one better, just in case you guys were curious. The only thing is that this one is a much better shade match for me. This is like a little bit dark, but before any shades lighter than this get really cool, so I wish their shade range was a little bit better. These both are nice, good options. Both I think are dry skin friendly, but I still think the Hourglass one is better. Okay, so we got lots of under eye options, so I'm gonna start off with my under eye primer, the JACLYN one. Holy grail. I've been using this. I've gone through a tube already, although more like it went bad on me, but I was like about 3/4 done. Love this so much. I did recently find another good option, and that is the Bobbi Brown Hydrating Eye Cream. Now this is more of like Bobbi Brown's skincare stuff, as opposed to like, they do have a vitamin enriched eye base, but that one stinks and I hate it. This one has no fragrance. Honestly, it feels like exactly identical to this, so I'm gonna have to like do some calculations. I'm gonna have to run the numbers, but I feel like this one may be slightly more expensive per mil than this one, because this is $24 for 9 mils and this is $56 for 15. So I think you're actually kind of running into a pretty similar price ratio. So at that point, I guess it would be whichever one you prefer more, particularly if you don't really want to buy from JACLYN Cosmetics, which is totally fine. I guess you'd want to go for this one, but I actually find these both to make my concealer go on so much nicer. So I like these both actually. I can't really decide. I'm probably gonna use this one most often because I don't want this to like be wasted and expire on me versus this one. Now, Bobbi Brown does do 25% off sales pretty often. Plus at Ulta you can get, they recently did a 25% off with 5x points on Bobbi Brown, so that was really great. So you can get this for essentially not $56. And then Morphe seems to love slashing their stuff in half on really random days, so I got this for half off, at which point it's 12. So you know, you weigh the difference there. This is still ultimately at half off is going to be the cheapest option, and it's just like absurdly, there's like witchcraft in this tube. I don't know what it is, but if you have dry skin, dry eyelids, this goes underneath my eyeshadow primer and it makes my eyeshadow look miles better. So really, I just can't live without stuff like this. And then I'm going to talk about some correctors. So I have the BECCA one with the BECCA Smashbox packaging. I never got the old one before BECCA went out, but I did get the new one. I heard the formula is the same, they just added more shades. Obviously nobody can confirm that, but that's what they were saying. It's just that it's the same formula, it's just under Smashbox. And then I'm going to talk about the Fenty Bright Fix Eye Brightener. And then I'm going to talk about the Bobbi Brown Skin Corrector Stick right here. I have all three. So currently I would say this one has the most coverage and correction. This would be something that is definitely really great for those who want some serious coverage and correction at the same time. It is not a full coverage concealer, it's a corrector, but it is perfect to wear under if you have no foundation whatsoever but you need to perk up your under eyes. I would definitely say go for something like this. It is more matte. This is the most matte of all three, so I have a little trouble using this underneath foundation and concealer because it's a little bit drying on me. I really wanted to like this, but yeah, I don't end up using this as often as I wish I could. The color and the correction is superior to the other two I have, but the consistency is just doesn't always agree with me. The second most correcting one would definitely be the BECCA one, and this one is a lot more hydrating, and I definitely think I can see why people really like this. It doesn't seem to have like too much pearl in it. I heard some people say they didn't like it because there's pearl, but this one I feel like doesn't really have much of that. It's just really pretty, and I use a brush to apply this and I get really great results. So underneath concealer, under foundation and concealer, and then putting concealer and foundation on top of this, I can get super full coverage. Like my dark circles are blanked, so I do really like using this for that. And the most recent one I got is the Bobbi Brown Skin Corrector Stick, and I honestly would recommend this the least out of all of them, or I would only recommend this for people for like, you're going to the supermarket, you're wearing your mask. Well, I mean I am, but like especially if you're still wearing masks, you just want to look a little bit more perky and look a little less sick, but you don't have any foundation on, you don't have any makeup on, you know, you don't want to get it all over your mask, and you just want to look a little more awake to go out, then this would be your best bet for that. It is the most sheer I find of all three, but it also is kind of the most invisible, so it really just looks like you truly have nothing on. So it even still shows your dark circles, but it's not pronounced, so you still just look like you. It's just, you know, a little bit less dead on the inside. Like, you know, if you're like me and your soul is dead half the time, this can make you look like you don't have that problem. So that's the only thing I would say this is good for, but I believe this is one of the most expensive. Like, I think Fenty is like the cheapest, so for the price that this charges for, especially full price, I would have been so mad. I got this 25% off and I'm still slightly disappointed, so I don't know how much I can recommend this when two other better options exist. And now I'm going to talk about my concealers. So I do have some liquid concealers that I'll briefly go over, but please do be aware as a disclaimer, I like never use liquid concealer. I use liquid concealer maybe once every few weeks at best, or if I'm too lazy to put on foundation, I use liquid concealer as foundation and I just put it like very small amounts right in the center of my face just to like smooth things out. So yeah, I have these, but honestly they're gonna go bad before I can even begin to make a dent in them because I use cream concealer so much more often. But I'll quickly go over them. I have the NYX Bare With Me because literally everybody was ranting about how good this was that I was like, well, it's so cheap, I might as well just get it. Plus NYX was having some kind of Ulta sale thingy-majig, so I just threw it in my cart. The next one I have is the Luna one. This one is one that Minsko really liked for kind of covering it, like basically makes your pores disappear, so I got it for this. Out of all of them, I would say this one actually ended up exciting me the least. I really don't see what the big deal over this is. Liquid concealer never covers my dark circles well at all, and this is no different, so meh. The only reason I have it still is just because like it's too cheap to even bother trying to like sell off to somebody, you know, so I'm just gonna hold on to it. The Luna one is really good for pore coverage and it is quite matte, so I use this on days where I don't want to use foundation but I do still want to do coverage, like especially if I'm just like I don't want to film, I don't want to put on makeup but I have to and I'm lazy, then I just will use this. However, again, I don't really find that this covers my dark circles. I guess everybody using this has like magical under eyes and my dark circles could never, so yeah, but I still do really like this. So if you're the kind of person where you're like my concealer has to make my pores disappear, definitely give this a shot. Luna is a super underrated Korean beauty brand and I think you might be surprised. And now we're gonna move on to my cream concealers. So obviously my holy grail is currently my JX Professional one, still going strong by the way. I don't know when this thing is gonna dry out on me, but I only use the lightest shade and it still has plenty of product left, so that's good. And then the more recent one that I tried is the Fresh O2 and Pony Tea Time palette. So far I've only really dug into, I don't really use this shade here, it's too dark, so I mostly use these two and then there's a corrector here, and I prefer to like mix these two. I had really high hopes for this, I really wanted to like it, but as of this moment I really can't say that I like it because it's so hard, and then when you put it on it's so thin and slick and slippery feeling that I feel like it just doesn't stay on. It just kind of blends away into nothing. So right now, this minute, I can't really say I'm a fan. The packaging is adorable and I just want to like it so much, so I'm gonna keep holding on to it. I'm gonna keep brute forcing my way into making it work, but for the time being, I think if you're like gonna be buying from Asia and you're gonna pay all that shipping, you might as well go to beautyboxkorea.com and just pick this up, because so far I have not yet found anything that is better than this. I do really want to try the Shiseido concealer stick next, so it's just that Shiseido like never goes on sale, so I'm just kind of sitting here around waiting for me to finally feel like pulling the trigger. I'm probably gonna try that next. I'm having good feelings about that, but in the meantime, yeah, this is just better. And this Tea Time concealer palette, I wanted it to be good. I really had high hopes for this, and right now this minute I am just kind of sad. My heart's kind of hurting a little bit. And then the most recent one that I picked up is going to be the Bobbi Brown concealer stick, and this is not full coverage. I don't think it was advertised as full coverage, so I don't necessarily blame the product, but at the same time this kind of has the same problem. It's like it's thin, it's slippery, it doesn't really cover. It's definitely something I would wear if I was wearing no makeup at all and I just would like be like boop 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 and be done. For the price that you pay for this, it's just confusing and I feel conflicted feelings about it, especially given how expensive this is. So I can't necessarily say I super ultra recommend it. If you're looking for a full coverage cream concealer that covers everything more than liquid, absolutely stay the heck away from this. But if you're just looking for ease of use, because this blends out super quickly with your fingers, if you're just looking for the ease of use product that just makes you look a little more awake for your work, for your classes, for your Zoom meeting, this is actually going to be something you might want to look into, because it is super fast and easy to use. It just doesn't give me the results that I want. So, you know, personal preference thing, I guess you could say. Okay, so that's going to be that, and now I'm going to move on to setting sprays and powders. So as you guys know, I have always really enjoyed my D'Alba setting spray. You can't even see the name of this anymore because I rubbed the label off, but this one is almost empty and I have 2 more backups, so I'm really happy about that. But for those of you who want a setting spray as good as that one and can't get that one anymore because D'Alba had the audacity to discontinue it, I found something just as good. It's just not as dewy, but honestly it is just as good, and I think the pore coverage is actually even better, and that should come as no surprise because it is the Benefit Professional Setting Spray. You guys, this is so good. I got this half off on Ulta 21 Days of Beauty. I would pay full price for this. This is ridiculously good. And one of the reasons I like the D'Alba one is because the mist is so fine and gentle. It's like being kissed by dewdrops or something, you know? Like the cloud just wraps around you and hugs you. It feels wonderful. By comparison, you know, like MAC Fix Plus or the Too Faced Hangover Setting Spray feels so aggressive. This has a similar mist. Very soft and fine and gentle. No real discernible fragrance. Don't breathe it in, obviously. So if you're looking for the perfect setting spray to just smooth everything out, make your face look perfect, definitely you should get this. This, as far as I know, this is not being discontinued. It's permanent. It seems to be selling like hotcakes. Like people really seem to like it. So I think Benefit will keep this around for a while. So that makes this much more accessible than my D'Alba makeup setting spray. So yes, this is a definitely approval from me, like 10 million stamps of approval from me kind of a thing. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to powders now, and again, I have holy grail powders I have talked about, but I'm really gonna only mention powders that are specifically I've been not really like given like my full thoughts on. So the first one is going to be the Say Air Set Translucent Setting Powder. I really like this. However, I'm not going to be using this during the summer, and you will have noticed I've not really used it on camera ever since the summer started. This is totally going to be something you see me break out more in the fall winter because it very lightly sets the makeup and then it leaves behind a beautiful finished complexion. So this would be really good during the summer as a finishing powder, and then during the winter this is the perfect dry skin friendly loose setting powder. I find it is gorgeous. It is less radiant than the JACLYN Mood Light powder. It's like a less radiant version of that, so having both doesn't feel redundant to me personally. I like having both. If you are a fan of something like the JACLYN Mood Light Luminous Setting Powder, then you absolutely are going to like this too. They both are really, really great, and I think they're both good for the same reasons. It's just that this one is a little bit more subtle and the other one is a little bit more radiant. Like the JACLYN one, if you apply a lot more in one area, you can actually turn it into a very luminous kind of glow from within highlighter. So pretty. This one cannot do that. You would just kind of end up with like a bunch of powder on your face for no reason. I have been really enjoying this, and I'm definitely looking forward to using this in the winter. The next one that I'm going to talk about, I literally cannot talk enough about how good this is, and everybody should go out and buy it like right now because they make two versions, one for dry skin and one for oily skin. So everybody can get a powder, and there's no reason to not buy this aside from the cost, of course. But if you have like spare change and you're looking for a pressed setting powder that is perfect, then look no further. I got you. It's the Flower Nose Flower Goddess setting powder. It's so beautiful. I love this, and I've only been using the top because I don't want to ruin the embossing. It's also refillable. I bought the case first just to display, but then I ended up getting the powder to put inside because I was like, well, why do I have these empty cases? I kind of want to try the powder. It is such a beautiful powder. There is even a little hole at the top of the case. You can put a ribbon through it, and then you can have like a cute little decoration. It's just, the presentation is beautiful. This powder, I have the dry version, sets everything. No pores. My wrinkles are disappeared. It truly blurs, mattifies, no dryness, no caking, no dry patches. I see nothing. This is unlike any other powder I've ever tried, and despite the fact that I don't use it on camera I don't often use it on camera, but I do use it a lot personally. And I will say, even though I have so many other powders I do love, because I do love me a good radiant powder, in terms of matte pressed setting powders, this is the best one I've ever used, period. I'm gonna be getting my hands on the Nikia Joy pressed setting powder eventually, and I really feel like that's gonna have a hard bar to climb over to compete with this, if only because this one is kind of more of like a translucent one, whereas the Nikia Joy one is going to be kind of a little bit more beige, but I don't know. But yeah, there are so many more Flower Nose powders I want to get my hands on, especially now that their international website is open. I have so many I want to get in multiple, and I want to try some of their beige ones too to see if I can get like more coverage out of them. This is so amazing. I feel like Flower Nose setting powders are just something that everybody needs to try at least once in their lives. Of course, they are expensive, especially considering that it has to ship all the way from China, but if you have the money, if you're looking for one and you're okay with spending a little bit of extra change, please try one of these. Please, you have to. It's so good. Next, I'm going to talk about the Kogen Do Brightening Moisture Powders. Now, you guys have seen me use Brightening Beige for years at this point, and I have made a pretty significant dent into the pan. And I love this. If I ever were to run out of this, I would absolutely go rebuy this, but I recently got my hands on the Brightening Pink, and I had really high hopes for this, but I'm very disappointed. First off, it is so shimmery. There's so much shimmer in this, it's ridiculous. See that? I can't use this on my face. I can't use this under my eyes. I can't use this. I can't, like, where I would put it would be inside my face to brighten up my face. Kind of like how people use concealer to do that. I use powder. I can't put this in there because it's gonna show every single last amount of pores I've got there. Like, I'm always trying to smooth out this area. I don't want to use this and bring all that texture back. I cannot use this for what it's for. It's so shiny. It just makes me want the Cherry Blossom one from Huda even more. The only thing I really can use this for is either if I wanted like an icy pink highlighter, which does not go well with olive undertones, I'll tell you that. So I end up just using this if I want a super subtle inner corner highlight or something. It's really frustrating. I thought this was going to be so good because I expected it to just be a pink version of Brightening Beige, but it's a different formula altogether. I'm so confused and I'm so disappointed. I cannot recommend this at all. The JACLYN and Robin Powder Move Sheer Loose Setting Powder, I have the shade Sheer Fair. Now, let me tell you, if JACLYN ever continues to release loose powders in the future, my expectations literally just get higher each and every single time, because if there's one product in her line that seems to always be consistently amazing, it is her loose powders for some reason. Just all the time. Her loose powders are always hit the mark for me. This is no different. This is a beautiful loose setting powder. This one is even less radiant than the Say one, and it sets way more, so I can use this during the summer. It is kind of, to me, I could almost be like, what if we took the Kogan Do powder and made it loose? It borderline feels that way, but it sets even more than the Kogan Do one does. It's just there is something truly special about this loose powder that I cannot really encapsulate with just words. You guys have seen me use it on camera. It is truly a beautiful formulation of loose setting powder. I can see how it would work for anyone with dry skin, with wrinkles. It doesn't settle, it doesn't cake, it doesn't dry, sets everything, looks amazing. It doesn't pore blur as much as, say, the Flower Nose one, but it just makes your skin look better, and it makes your skin look like your skin. Like, I know with Flower Nose and the Chinese makeup aesthetic, it's all about, people know that I have to use makeup to blur out all these pores, but it's just all about that perfection. Whereas in the West, it's all about, you know, trying to just make your skin look better, like a better version of itself without hiding things, without being too fake looking. This is perfect for achieving that. It really is truly such a beautiful powder. I'm so happy I have it in my collection, and I've been using it a lot. It's one of my favorite loose powders right now. And then lastly is going to be my most recent powder that I got, and it's going to be the Bobbi Brown Sheer Finish Pressed Powder. This is definitely kind of like an old staple makeup product that's been in the industry for a really long time, and I can see why it's been around for so long. It is really good. It is very basic, but very good. And I got it in Sheer Soft Porcelain, which has a little bit of a pigment base to it, so it adds a little bit more coverage, but not as much as the Urban Decay one. It's very elegant. Really like this, and it doesn't dry my skin out either. Okay, so that's gonna be the base done, which this might be a long video, but I'm gonna continue to move on. So I'm going to go over eye primer now and eyebrows. I've been trying the NYX Micro Brow Pencil. I've tried the Morphe one. They're okay. I don't really like them, but my favorite one is definitely going to be the Shiseido eyebrow pencil. This Wackadoodle one, you have to get it off eBay or YesStyle, but it's so good and it's so cheap, and yeah, I just really like it. You do have to sharpen it. It is a traditional pencil, but I am in love, so that's really the only eyebrow product that I can like truly wholeheartedly recommend. I do really like the brow blade, but I ended up returning back to using Glossier Brow Flick, and I've been loving it. I do still think brow blade is really great. It's just, for me, it was a shade problem where if I got black, I really liked the pen side, but the pencil side was too dark, and any other shade the pen side was too dark, was too light, or it was too warm, and then the pencil side would be good. So I kind of was like in a rock and a hard place, so I've just gone back to using two separate brow products. So these are the two that I really like the most right now, but everything else that I just mentioned is honestly completely fine. It's just not really to my preferences. And now for eye primer, I have really been enjoying the Rare Beauty one. You guys have seen me use this a lot. It's a really great basic eye primer that still has a little bit of tint so that it kind of blanks out and perfects your eyelids just a little bit. It is not drying at all, which is kind of my biggest concern with eye primers, is that a lot of eye primers meant to really lock in your eyeshadow also just dry the heck out of my eyelids, and I just can't have that. So this is a really great one. It's not tacky, so this is kind of my go-to non-tacky primer for just like simple makeup, or I have eyeshadow that, you know, doesn't need sticky base, like a lot of, like, for example, ColourPop. You don't really need a sticky base for ColourPop because ColourPop is, you know, it's just like more simple. I do not use this for like my indie shadows, for example. I found this doesn't really work well with Blend Bunny because Blend Bunny already blends too well that this makes me lose control over the pigment. But for any sort of generic mainstream formula like Pat McGrath, Natasha Denona, whatever, I can use this and have a great time. And then this one here, the VDL one, I wanted to like this one. I thought the bluish, lavenderish tint to it would really help me be able to wear pastel shadows a lot better, and blues, especially like colorful shadows like blues and true greens. I thought it would really help with that, but it's a lot sheerer than I expected. So I don't know, I don't end up using this as often as I thought I would. Now this is the Faber-Castell collection, so as you can see, it's a chubby little pencil. It's so cute, so of course I'm gonna hold on to it just for that, but it kind of let me down. I was expecting it to have a little bit more kind of correction aspects, but it just ends up making my eyelids look ashy. In terms of the formula, it kind of reminds me of the Urban Decay anti-aging one, so it's not like super special, but it's not bad either. I had higher hopes for this. This is just okay. I'm not going to talk about eyeshadow palettes in this video because you can just go and look at all of my eyeshadow palette videos or any of my Get Ready With Me's where I use eyeshadow palettes and see what I think about them. I just am such an eyeshadow palette collector. I don't buy eyeshadow palettes if I don't think I'm going to like them. So I like pretty much every eyeshadow palette in my collection, and it's in my collection for some reason or other. But I do want to talk about some singles. So the first single is going to be the M Cosmetics shadow in Wish. Really pretty. It's on my eyes today. It's actually, I thought this was going to be more of like a sheer topper glittery thing, but it's actually a super smooth foiled metallic. Really pretty. Definitely has that puttyish thing that the Super Shock does, but it's far smoother and it's far less squishy. So I feel like it's kind of like an elevated version of a Super Shock shadow, which for the price it had better be. I like still have my qualms about recommending this because at full price this is so expensive, but like if there was a sale or if somebody was selling it for like, you know, they swatched it and then they sold it for like $15 or $16, I can recommend it more. But yeah, I'm like iffy on recommending it, but I do gotta say it is super pretty, so like I do really like it. And then next I'm gonna talk about the Chantecaille single shadow, the Cheeto one. I've been trying to use this more often because like your girl paid so much money for this, I should use this. It is kind of like the perfect champagne for the simple eyeshadow look, so I've really been trying to use this more. Really pretty formula, and it actually has a really elegant finish that I do really like. However, again, so expensive. I can't necessarily recommend it unless you really want it and you actually just like, for example, I mostly wanted it because of the cheetah packaging because I do love cats. You gotta really want it, okay? So I am not gonna really recommend it. Here's a swatch on my finger just so you guys can see. It is actually super pretty. And then I'll swatch it on my hand. Very pretty. It's not super shiny or anything, but it's just feels really elegant. But again, it's expensive, so please buy at your own discretion. I'm just gonna be fully honest about the fact that I do actually really like it and I kind of hate myself for that. Next, I really want to talk about Phytosurgence, the shadows. I have Fractal Freesia and Wild Oak. I never did get around to making my Phytosurgence video. I have a couple more things I want from them, so once I get those I'll make a video then, but I do really want to talk about these two shadows here. They are so pretty. Fractal Freesia, you've seen me use a couple times on camera now. It is the ultimate sheer topper. If you ever wanted a sheer topper and all you wanted was the sheer topper, Fractal Freesia is it. So pretty. This is what it looks like, and then I'll swatch it kind of right here and you can see how it's so dainty and delicate. You can put this on top of any matte eyeshadow and it instantly just elevates the entire look. It goes with anything. It is just, if all you wanted in your eyeshadow collection was, gosh, I just really wish I had a sheer topper that just kind of makes everything look a little bit sparkly, then get Fractal Freesia and you're set for life. Plus, honestly, this thing has so much product, I don't see how anybody could ever use all of this up. Despite being in a pot and being a cream shadow, it is actually much more dry to the point of feeling more cream to powder, and even then, I feel like it's gonna last a really long time before it dries out to being unusable because it's already so dry to begin with. So I really love that Phytosurgence made that decision because this is such a huge pot of eyeshadow. Like seriously, it's so huge. I will never use this up. I used to use Sparks from the Natasha Denona Gold palette a lot. I believe that's what it's called. It's that toppery shade in Natasha Denona Gold. That was the shade I used to use for the longest time to top everything. And so that shade in that palette is actually super gnarly and has a pretty big dip in it because of how often I used it. But then I found Fractal Freesia and I never looked back. This is the ultimate topper and I cannot recommend this enough to anybody looking for one. And then the other shadow I have from them, and I wish I had more, I just haven't had the money yet. The other shadow I have from them is called Wild Oak and it's gonna be this shade here. It's actually, it is shimmery, but it's quite subdued to the point of feeling more satin, and it just has such an elegant finish to it. Plus the consistency of it makes me feel like you could almost even use this as like a primer underneath other shadows if you wanted to. It is just such a pretty shade. I really want to get more shadows from them, so yeah, that's what it looks like, and I'm gonna kind of I'll put it on like the heel of my palm so you can really see it. Do you see? Just, you can see how pretty that is. And it's just so beautiful, so pretty, so elegant. Everything about Phytosurgeons just feels so elegant and refined to me. So yeah, I really like this if you're looking, and again, with that firm, drier texture, you know, you press your finger into it and it's hard. Like there is no squish to it. It's not like the Charlotte Tilbury shadows where it's super, super soft. So I feel like these are gonna last a really long time before they dry out, which is really great. Yeah, I really love Phytosurgeons, one of my favorite indie brands to follow right now, and yeah. And I also just really love their brand philosophy, love the aesthetic. Everything about it is really great. Plus they are Asian owned, so I'm always down for that. Next, I'm going to talk about these JACLYN singles. I got these and I've used them a couple times on camera. I actually have all of them. I do really like them. They do feel really, they are really beautiful and they're really pretty and they feel really cool and watery and they have a really beautiful glistening finish. But as I've mentioned in the videos, the biggest caveat is that they will swatch really pretty when you put it on your finger and put it on your hand. You're like, oh, these are so pretty. But if you were to actually take this and put it on your eyelid, this product has trouble transferring from your finger or your brush onto your eyelid. It will just kind of want to stay on your eyelid, or it'll want to stay on your finger, so you'll end up with a very sheer application on your eyelid, but your finger is jam-packed of pigment. That is the biggest failure point of these products, which is why I think they've been so like kind of polarizing. So it's not really a bother to me because I still really find them pretty despite that, but I can absolutely see it being a deal breaker. Now I do know that these were limited edition and once they're gone, but they are on sale at Morphe and I think they were included in one of the half off sales, making them even cheaper. So if you wanted to get your hands on these for a very low price, at which point I feel like the flaw is more forgivable, then by all means go ahead, because you know, honestly these are really pretty. And then on the complete flip side of that problem, we have the Clionut Fruit Lighters. These are so pretty. I have videos where I use these both, so you can just refer back to those. But here's what one of them looks like. These are basically like what if Clionut made a multi-chrome shadow with a bigger pan. I think as highlighters, these actually honestly kind of suck because they're so metallic. They feel much more like just an eyeshadow, and that's what I prefer to use them as. I like basically never use these as highlighters unless I'm going for the specific color. It's too metallic, too much texture. It just doesn't look right as a highlighter, but as an eyeshadow, you cannot go wrong. These are just the classic Clionut multi-chrome formula. Super solid and beautiful. So fruit lighters as eyeshadows, yes please. Highlighters, not so much for me. So if you guys were thinking that you had found yourself some really pretty colorful highlighters with these, you may be a little let down, but just use these on your eyes. You'll be really happy with that. And then I'm gonna briefly mention the Auric Cream Shadows. Here's the red one right here in the shade Disrupt. The creams are so pretty and they're so easy to use and they're less sticky tacky than the Patrick Ta ones, so I really like them for that. I personally, however, basically never use the topper that is on top. In fact, for this particular shade, I don't think I even ever, like, I've never even used the top part. Like, it's actually unused because I just don't even bother. I find the top ones to be really boring because if I want a metallic on top of the cream part, I just go into a palette, or I use a single, or I use a Super Shock, or I use Fractal Freesia, and I find the toppers to honestly be kind of meh. But so buying it just to use the bottom portion might seem a little bit stupid because these are pretty expensive, but I promise you the creams are that good that for me, I still really enjoy that I have them, kind of a thing. I only have the two holiday shades, the red one and the green one, but I definitely want to get more, but I'm just kind of waiting for a chance where my budget will allow me so that I can get Glow Lust and the everything else kind of in one fell swoop, so I don't have to pay shipping twice. But yeah, I just wanted to mention those really quickly. Oh, I did really want to quickly mention the KVD stick shadows are really great, but I do believe they've been discontinued, so I don't actually think you can get them anymore, which is a big shame. I wish I had gotten my hands on these before they got discontinued. They're so nice, really pretty. Like, you can sheer them out or you can apply it more like intensely. So like here's like a sheer application, and then if I apply more, it gets super, super intense. I wish I had gotten more of these. The one shade that I really wish I could have is the one that's like out of stock everywhere. So I have 3 shades and I really wish I had more, particularly the champagne one, but that coincidentally is the shade that is just gone. But yeah, if you somehow managed to find these at like an in-store at Ulta or something like that, you should probably go ahead and pick it up because they're actually super great. Long video, I know, I probably should have done this like 2 months ago, but whatever. So I'm going to now move on to the eyeliners, the mascaras, the lashes, just kind of all of that stuff. So in terms of eyeliners, I gotta say, one of my favorite discoveries so far has been the Benefit They're Real Extreme Precision Eyeliner. This is crazy good. It's the perfect shade of brown. It's almost too light to use as eyeliner if you have really dark eyeshadow. I used it today and you can see it barely shows up, which is such a rare thing to find in the American market. I feel like most brown liners are just brown black. But for me, for example, I can use this liquid eyeliner to fill my inner corners in, and it's so much faster and easier than using pencil, and you can see how perfect it looks. It's not too harsh and it gives me a level of precision I just can't achieve with a pencil because it's a brush tip and it is just so thin and precise. You can get the smallest lines. The amount of control I have over my eyeliner is insane when I use this. I hope this is one of those products they actually keep around and it's not something they like poof into existence and then poof away like Bennebalm got discontinued. I really hope this can stick around for some time, and if I ever catch wind it'll be discontinued. For the time being, I'm just gonna buy like 5 or 6 of them. I am loving this. I bought this full price and I have no regrets. This is so good. And then on the pencil side of things, I have really been enjoying these Clio Gel Presso Extreme liners. This is kind of like their renewed form of the So Sharp So Simple liners kind of a thing, because I believe those got discontinued and mine dried out, so I did eventually have to throw them away. But these are absurdly good. The only thing is that there's actually no black in the range, but I mean, is that really a problem? So this is kind of like a really cool gray and this is more of a warm brown. I've used both of these on camera and I love these both to death. These are so great. They're so easy to use, super creamy. If you're quick enough, you can absolutely blend it out or get a sharper wing by pulling on it with a brush. I can use these down in the waterline, no problems. Like, these are really solid formulas. I find that for the price, Korea does make better pencil liners than Americans do, especially when it comes to how budge proof they are. I find that Asian eyeliners just kind of are better. And then there is one Western eyeliner that I do want to share, however, and that is Killer Gingerbread from Too Faced. This in the waterline with a bronze eye look brings it to the next level, and I will swatch this for you guys. I will swatch it right here so you guys can see. This in the waterline, this is everything. So this is the only shade of the Killer liner I ended up keeping because the other ones had really disappointing quality, but for some reason the quality of this is just bang on and it stays in the waterline forever. If I'm wearing a warm eyeshadow look, this ultimately elevates it instantly. No effort. So I do really love this shade. So if you're looking at the Killer liners, you should probably just get Killer Gingerbread and be done with it. I think this is a Sephora exclusive, but yeah, you should totally just get this. And then for gel eyeliners, I finally got around to using my Melt Gel liners. And these are so good. Oh my gosh, why didn't I use them sooner? They're so good. I've used it on camera a couple times now. These are ridiculously good. Just be aware they are super soft. I always use the lid to control the amount of product that's on my brush. And if you want it to kind of set down, just kind of close your eyes, look down, give it a couple seconds to set down. Otherwise, you get so much work time with these that these almost could function as cream shadows. And for the longest time, I thought about getting some of the metallic ones to do just that, but I just kind of ended up not because I wouldn't use them often enough. But I have the mattes in all the colors that I would use often, and I adore these and I need to use these more. And yeah, these Melt is so inconsistent with their eyeshadows that I kind of got put off them for a while. But their gel eyeliners, I don't think any of them suck. Like, I think all of them are really great. So now I totally have my eye on them more often, and I'll continue to pick up the colors I want as I see them, particularly the limited edition ones. These absolutely are totally underrated. More people should know about these and use these. These are like really good, like crazy good. It's really weird to me that Melt can have such inconsistent shadows, but their gel liners are so good. That's like the weirdest thing to me. And then for mascara, the one mascara that's really impressed me is going to be the Huda Legit Lashes. I only use the volume side. I don't even bother with the lengthening side, but the volume side makes my lower lashes look so good. And if I do have a lash lift, like a good one, makes my upper lashes look so thick and fluffy without looking clumpy and spidery. Something about this. I think it's the drier formula, because I also have always really liked my Damn Girl mascara as well. I Frankensteined it. I have the Rare Beauty brush on it because the Damn Girl mascara brush is just too big. But the Rare Beauty brush I really like, and then the Rare Beauty mascara I honestly really didn't like, so I Frankensteined them together. But yeah, I really like this. This kind of reminds me of the Damn Girl mascara, but like you know, it's a little bit different though. I really like having both of them. On the flip side, I really found these two mascaras to be disappointing. I also found the Urban Decay Lash Freak mascara to be disappointing as well, because for being non-waterproof, it was nearly impossible to get off, so I just got rid of it, whatever. But the Benefit Roller Lash, it does nothing. It makes my lashes look the same. I don't know why people like this. I guess if you already have good lashes and you don't want to go too overboard, this is good, but for me, nah, I need more. And then the Clinique High Impact Mascara, I got this in brown and I was so excited to have a non-waterproof brown option for my lower lashes, but this does nothing. I can't even see the brown because I feel like it doesn't even transfer to my lashes. It doesn't add any volume, it doesn't add any length. When I put it on, I feel like I put on no mascara. I can't see anything. Like, and I feel like this is such a wet formula that I wonder if it just needs even more time to dry out before it's good than other mascaras do, but I don't like it. I was really hoping that this would be a good non-waterproof brown option for me for when I want to have brown lower lashes, but I just so far have not been impressed at all. And for the price, like, no. And then for false lashes, I mostly just use Ardell 815 and doe lashes. Like, that's it. So there, now you know my favorite lashes. I've liked pretty much every single lash from doe that I've gotten. Good things there. So I'm going to move on to like my face palettes, my blushes, my highlighters, and then I'm going to do bronzers and contours after that.